Welcome to the Modern Educational Technology class. Mine is to discuss to you the introductory part of this course. I hope that you will listen to this discussion because this is very important knowing about the background and the transition of educational technology. My topic is to discuss to you about understanding educational technology, its nature, scope, and characteristics. By the way, classmates, I am your discussant for today, Mark Aaron G. Arsolon. Let's now first discuss the origin and history of educational technology, how it is being made, how it is being developed, and so on. Educational technology, in terms of terminology and structural composition, may carry out two basic components, namely education and technology. We are focusing here more on the evolutionary nature of the second component, more on technology, as a subject has its own role concerned with the task identifying the most suitable, appropriate, and developed technology, both hardware and software, for serving educational needs and purposes of the students and the society at a particular time and place. It is a matter of no secret that there has been a continuous shift in the nature of the use of technology's means and measures for improving the process and products of education depending upon the type of excellence attained by the members of the society and communities all over the globe in terms of scientific, philosophical, psychological, and technological progress and advances. This is why we can witness a continual shift in the modes and means of educational technology being used for serving the cause of education in different periods of human history and civilization. Okay, so let's now start identifying the history and origin of educational technology. In the early period of human history, when writing was unknown, the method of verbal presentation on the part of the teachers and citation and memorization on the part of students was a common practice in almost all civilization of the world. Socrates' teacher-pupil oral dialogue system, prevalent in the West, and oral teaching tradition maintained by the ancient ages and the gurukuls of our country, may be cited as a testimony of the use of relevant technology on the field of teaching learning at a particular age and the progress of the human civilization. With the advent of writings as the means and materials of communication, like writing on the leaves and tree trunks, engraving on metals and rocks, and then the use of the some type of paper and ink material provided the next breakthrough and the use of writing technology for teaching and learning. So classmates, I am now discussing to you the transition of means of education of the learners. So, as you can observe in the early period human history, it's more on oral communication because writing was unknown at this time or at that moment. So, their way of educating the learners is speaking, talking, absence of writing. It's more on talking, their means of communication. And the next part is with the advent of writings as means and materials of communication. So, little by little, the transition of education is improving. And the time to come, it provides a great impetus in the field of teaching and learning, which witnessed the use of the subject matter available in the form of printing materials and textbooks, a great scientific technological advancements. So subject matter is now considered at this era. The use of writing and printing technology then took its next leap in helping the cause of teaching and learning by utilized in the instructional materials like chalkboard, pictures, chart models, maps, diagrams, and other graphic material. So this moment or this time, there were involvement of printing materials in teaching the learners. Later on, with industrial development and technical advancement, sophisticated scientific instrument, mass media, and educational materials were used. It brought the use of sophisticated hardware and software such as radio, television, tape recorder, films, transparency, etc. in the field of education. So we are now in the 21st century, and there are many platforms in educating the students. And I'm glad to know that we are now adapting this type of education. At least we can have the education everywhere. The concept of programmed instruction and theories later on added another dimensions to the meaning and concept of educational technology. This was again broadened when the new approaches in the form of system approach, micro-teaching, interaction, analysis, and computer-assisted instruction came into existence. So again, as time goes by, education also changes because education is dynamic. So now, let us answer the meaning of educational technology. What is educational technology? Okay, at this moment, I'm gonna define to you the meaning of educational technology. Educational technology is concerned with the systematic application of science and technology in the field of education, of course, and thus may be defined as the application of technology to education in order to further the case of the latter. Just as science and technology help in carrying out the practical task in general, educational technology helps in providing efficiency to the task of teaching and learning. So educational technology is not competing with the traditional way of teaching. Thus, it helps to provide efficient education, efficient knowledge towards the learners. Educational technology provides technical guidance and solution to the problems of education. So, with the coordination of educational technology, we can now have the better outcome of our education because educational technology is there to help us. Teaching is communicating, and educational technology can play an effective role in the communication between teacher and student rather. So this is the give and take. So here in educational technology, both teacher and student are getting the benefits on it. So not just only the teacher, but also the student who is benefiting the educational technology. Educational technology encompasses the total teaching and learning process involving the elements like the following. So here are those. Specification of goals and behavioral objectives. Analysis of the characteristics of the learner. Selection of organization of the content or subject matter to be learned. Methods and strategies of the presentation of the content. Use of aid materials, software and hardware, mass media and communication techniques. Effective arrangement of learning situations and learning environment. Effective classroom control and management. And continuous feedback and evaluation of the results. So this educational technology also, they tend to consider the concerns that they have to consider, like the learner's characteristics, the subject matter that they have to teach or to have to focus on, and also the ways, strategies to effectively deliver the topic or the subject matter towards the students. And the continuous feedback and evaluation of the results is still continuous. So after, there is also the process of input and output. Input, process, and output. Next, educational technology is not limited to the use of audio-visual aids and does not symbolize merely educational hardware such as sophisticated gadgets and mechanical devices used in for the effective management of the total teaching learning process. It tends to utilize the results of all goods, experiments, and researches in the field of human learning and the art of communication, and employs a combination of all possible human and non-human resources to achieve the desired educational objectives. So all in brief, educational technology should stand for a wise application of the available human and non-human resources for providing appropriate solution to the educational problems and to improve the process and products of education. So it means that there is a better application of this educational technology. There should be a better outcome of this, and the human or the teacher should use this one with wise application. And again, educational technology is there not to compete with us teachers, but to help us to properly execute the learning or the knowledge, the ideas that the students must have or must gain. Now, let's come to the nature of educational technology. The features of educational technology. What's in educational technology rather. The basis of educational technology is science, of course, because as I said earlier, it is a systematic process. So, obviously, there is a science involvement in educational technology. Educational technology students Rather, educational technology studies the effect of science and technology upon education. In other words, science and technology are used under educational technology. Hence, it is the practical aspect of science. Educational technology is a continuous, dynamic, progressive, and effect producing method. So, educational technology is not stagnant. There should be the changes, there should be progress in it because we are looking for the better outcome of this educational technology that as far as the as far as learners is concerned. So, dapat talaga ma-execute hiya and not stagnant. Next, the new the new conceptions are possible only due to educational technology such as programmed learning, micro-teaching, simulated teaching, interaction, and analysis, videotape, tape recorder, projector, and computer. So, I know that there are some supporting materials that help us to execute or to use the educational technology like the available materials in school, the projector, and even the speaker, and many more. Educational technology accepts schools as a system. And this system, the school building, furniture, and teachers act as an input, while various methods, techniques, strategies, and the teaching examination with the help of audiovisual aids function in the form of process. Lastly, the output is in a form of ability of the learners. So again, educational technology is science, systematic process. So basically, there should be an input, process, and output. In our educational system, we consider the input are the teacher, school building, furniture, and other non-human materials. And here, the process is about the techniques, strategies, teaching, and examination of the pupils or the learners. Lastly, the output is the form of ability of the learners. Audiovisual aids cannot be termed as educational technology. It is because its concern is only with the process aspect of educational technology and not with the input and output aspects. But if these audiovisual aids are used to achieve educational objectives, that it can be put in the category of educational technology. Program instruction is also different from educational technology. Its main cause is that the student learns himself during the program instructions. It does not allow the interaction between learners and teachers. Hence, it can be used only for limited objectives and limited subject matter. Therefore, program instructions is merely a part of educational technology. Last, engineering technology is not the educational technology because the engineering technology has manufactured radio, tape recorder, videotape, and television, etc., which are used in teaching as audiovisual aids, but still, engineering technology is different from the educational technology. Take note of this, classmates. In education, it is accepted as hardware approach only. Okay, now let's proceed to the scope of educational technology. Keeping an eye over such broad concepts of educational technology, one is able to map but the areas of its operation in terms of topic or aspects covered through its study or application. In brief, they may be summarized as below. So we have 10 scope of educational technology. First, we have analysis of the process of teaching and learning. Here, educational technology tries to discuss the concept of teaching, analysis of the teaching process, variables of the teaching, phase of teaching, levels of teaching, theories of teaching, principles and maxims of teaching, the concept of learning, relevance of the theories, the relationship between teaching and learning. So the first scope is more on teaching. The educational technology is discussing more on teaching. What is teaching? What is learning? What is the relationship between teaching and learning? And is the difference between these two? And how to properly execute or how to properly give the education to the learners. Next is the spelling out the educational goals or objectives. Of course, educational technology has goals and objectives. Educational technology tries to discuss the topics such as identification of education needs and aspirations of the community, survey of the resources available for satisfaction of these needs. This goal helps us to identify and distinguish what kind of subject matter that our learners must have to possess, must have to gain, must have to know. Number 3, development of curriculum. This aspect of educational technology is concerned with the designing of suitable curriculum for the achievement of the stipulated objectives. Of course, curriculum is very important in our educational system. So as in educational technology. So that's why there should be a development of curriculum in educational technology, and I'm thankful that educational technology is doing its best to design the suitable curriculum for the achievement of as far as the objectives is concerned. Number 4, development of teaching learning material. This area of educational technology is concerned with the production and development of the suitable teaching learning material in view of stipulated objectives, design curriculum, and available resources. So, of course, printed materials are supporting. They can support the education of the students and they can support of the ideas of the teachers. So there should be a development of teaching learning material. So one of the scopes of educational technology. Number 5, we have teaching preparation or teaching training. Teacher is a key figure in any process of teaching and learning. Educational technology, therefore, take care of the proper preparations of teachers for exercising their complex responsibilities. Number 6, development and selection of the teaching learning strategies and topics. This aspect deals with the central problems of Teaching Learning Act. Here, educational technology tries to describe the ways in discovering, selecting, and developing suitable strategies and tactic of teaching. So educational technology is giving us the ideas, the ways, the best strategy in teaching our students. Wow, so good. Number 7, development, selection, and use of the appropriate audiovisual aids. Teaching, learning is greatly influenced and benefited by the use of appropriate audiovisual aids. Educational technology covers this aspect by discussing various types of audiovisual aids used for educational purpose. Their proper selecting suiting to a particular teaching learning situations. So, of course, we have to consider the things that really fits or that really suits in our teaching in the actual setting in the classroom. So we have to use only those things or those materials that has a relation to the topic that we are going to discuss to our learners. Effective utilization of the hardware and mass media. Various sophisticated instrument, equipment, gadget, and communication devices brought through mechanization and electronics revolution playing an effective role in the attainment of educational objectives by helping the teachers and learners in their respective roles. So you know what, classmates? We are lucky enough that at least videos, video presentation, audio presentation, laptop, speaker helps us to at least assist us in giving instruction and ideas in educating our students, because sometimes students are are prone to boredom when the teacher is keep on talking at whole time and or at whole period. So sometimes we have to consider, we have to use these other materials in order for them to get their attention. Okay, so number 9, to work for the effective utilization of the subsystem of education. Educational technology considers education as a system operating in a systematic and scientific way for the achievement of educational objectives. Last, to provide essential feedback and control through evaluation. Educational technology is essentially concerned with the task of exercising appropriate control over the process of teaching and learning by planning and devising suitable tools and devices for the continuous evaluation of the process and product of the teaching learning activities. So there is always an evaluation and feedbacks to see the outcome, whether the outcome is good or need to improve. Because in the evaluation part, improvement is there. Without evaluation, the program would be useless, would be nothing. So, in order for us to evaluate, to assess everything about education, about the teaching learning process, so we have to consider always evaluation at the end of our activity or at the end of our program. So there is an assessment or evaluation after those activity or program. Okay, those are the scope of the educational technology. I hope that you gain some informations out of at least tanan, all 10 scopes. You learned all those 10 scopes and apply those in our daily life as teachers, because education is every day, not just only in weekdays, but also in weekends. Thus, educational technology is concerned with all variables, phases, levels, and aspects of the teaching learning process. In brief, it works for all over planning and organizations of the system or subsystem of education. In above discussion, an attempt has been made to identify the scope of the subject educational technology by mapping out its field of operation. But in true sense, it is unwise to put hedge and boundaries around such as developing and fast-growing subject. So, educational technology before, whenever I hear educational technology, it's always my mindset is always more on computer, more on gadgets. But now I learned that educational technology is, it's not limited to the electronic devices, to the other gadgets, to the computer or whatever gadgets it is. So educational technology is for both human, non-human, printed and printed materials, curriculum as a whole as an educational system. It not just only focuses to the term gadgets, or computer or cell phones. Okay, now let's proceed to the characteristics of educational technology. Wow, what are the characteristics of the educational technology? First, it is based on scientific and technological advancements. So, educational technology had underwent process, systematic process. And it's before the proper execution, or rather, sorry for the term, before it is being implemented for in the school, it has underwent process. Next, it is more a practical discipline and less a theoretical one. So more on practical. We have to use the practical ways in order for us to teach the learners well. The best thing that we could ever do is to do the practical ways in teaching our pupils. Next, it is a fast-growing modern discipline. Yeah, hello, we are in the 21st century and it's visible. Next, it makes use of research findings of psychology, sociology, engineering, science, and social psychology, etc., and applies the same to the field of education. So again, since it is a scientific, um, before it is being implemented to the schools or everywhere, it has to undergo first the research, like the psychology, the effect of the mental and the physical, the social, spiritual, all aspects in life. So those things that we have to consider about educational technology before implementing the educational technology. Next, it brings learners, teachers, and technical means together in an effective way. So again, wise application equals to effective result. Because educational technology is good, but it depends on how you use the educational technology in teaching your learners. Because educational technology would be useless if you don't know how to use this educational technology. You have to consider the wise application about the educational technology as far as effectiveness is concerned. Next, it is the science of techniques and methods. It locates the problems in the field of education, remedies them, and ultimately aims at improving the education system. So it's more on improvement, educational improvement. So again, educational technology is there to help us to improve our strategies, the effective ways, the practical ways of teaching. Because our main objective is the learners intelligence, learners outcome, learners changes, learners development, learners improvement. It bounds to improve the teacher, the learner, and teaching learning process. So educational technology, characteristics of it is that not just only for that learner's improvement but also teacher's improvement and the teaching learning process. They have to improve and they have to adapt this new type of educational technology for the better outcome of educational system. Thank you for listening, classmates. That's all, folks. I hope you gained some informations, ideas, and knowledge about educational technology. I hope that you listen and thank you so much for listening. God bless us all.